For the past 2 days, we've talked about dividing decimals by one-digit whole numbers. And today what we're going to talk about is dividing decimals by two-digit whole numbers. And fortunately for you, it requires the exact same steps. There's no additional trick. There's basically nothing to worry about. It's essentially the same thing as dividing decimals by a one-digit whole number. So your sample problem today is Erin's garden has an area of 84 and 8/10 square feet. She knows the length is 16 feet. What is the width of Erin's garden? So when we look at area, we know area is base times height. So height is going to be our length in this case. We know the length is 16 feet. I can label that. 16 feet is the length, which is this. And what we're looking for is the width, which will stand for W. We don't know what W is. So let's look at this problem a little bit closer and start with our cubing strategy where we circle our key numbers. 84.8, 16, do that a little bit nicer, 16. Going to underline the question. What is the width of Erin's garden? Boxing any keywords, boxing area because that'll tell us our formula that we need. Length. And that's probably all we need. You might want to put feet so that you know what your unit should be. And then we're going to eliminate anything we don't need. Thank you, Erin, but we don't need to know it's your garden. And then we're going to solve. So the first thing that I want to do when I'm looking at this is set up my equation. So essentially what we're looking for, we don't know what the width is. That's what we're looking for. That's what our answer is going to be, is the width of Erin's garden. So what I need to do is divide 84.8 divided by 16. I got 84.8 from the area of her garden, and I got 16 from the length of her garden. So if I were to put this in standard algorithm form, which is what you're going to do, you want to put 84 and 8/10 as your dividend, or the number you're dividing by, and 16 is your divisor. Remember that up here where the answer goes, this is your quotient. That's where your answer goes, up here. So now I'm going to take the exact same steps I would take if I were dividing decimals by a one-digit whole number, but instead I have a two-digit whole number. So the first step I want to take is to bring my decimal straight up. I'm just going to draw an arrow so that you can see. I'm going to bring my decimal straight up. It's a huge decimal, sorry. Then the next thing I need to do is ask myself, okay, well, how many times can 16 go into 84? That's my division part, my division step. I'll write my D over here. Without going over. So how many times can 16 go into 84 without going over? And remember, this is just trial and error. So maybe you're doing work on this side and you say, okay, well, 16 times, let's just try 4. We know 6 times 4 is 24. I carry the 2. 4 times 1 is 4, plus 2 is 6. I'm at 64. I could probably go one more. So let's try 16 times 5. Since I'm trying to get to 84, we know 6 times 5 is 30. 5 times 1 is 5. Plus 3 is 8. That's as close as I'm going to get to 84 without going over. So 5 goes at the top. It goes above my 4 because 16 can go into 84 5 times without going over. The next thing we do is multiply 16 times 5. Well, we already did that. 16 times 5 is 80. 80 goes underneath my 84. I keep my place values lined up. And I subtract. That's my next step. I subtract. Okay? So 84 minus 80, we know that is 4. That's a quick, easy one to solve. And then I bring my 8 down just like I would in any other division problem. So I have my B for bring down. I'll draw my arrow over there so you don't forget. And then I start again. I repeat. I start at the top again. So I divide. And I say, okay, well, how many times can 16 go into 48? Well, I knew 16 times 4 was 64. So it has to be less than 4. Let's try 3. So 16 times 3. Well, 6 times 3 is 18. Carry the 1. 3 times 1 is 3, plus 1 is 4. Yep, 48, that's exactly what I was looking for. So I know 16 can go into 48 3 times without going over. Remember that 3 needs to go behind my decimal. And then I keep going. I multiply. That's my next step. I just divided. Now I go to multiply. 16 times 3, we have that over here, is 48. Then I go to my next step of subtraction. 48 minus 48 is 0, so my final answer, or my quotient, is 5 3/10. So we know W equals 5 3/10 feet. W stands for width. So the width of her garden is 5.3 feet, and that is my final answer. So you'll see that all of these steps were exactly the same as if I were dividing a decimal by a 1-digit whole number, but instead I have a 2-digit whole number as my divisor instead of a 1-digit. Good luck while you're doing this. Take your time, use your cubing strategies, and I'm looking forward to seeing your work.